Do you sometimes feel as though the national news is too concerned with the bigger picture? Do you feel that it often overlooks the smaller, local interest stories that gives you that sense of community? Do you feel that your skull is too large for the skin and muscle that contains it, and one day it'll expand so much that the flesh will simply tear away, leaving you with a cold, grinning skull where your head should be? Then you need to listen to the news and views that represent you and your community. We're here to sort the local interest wheat from the hard news chaff and harvest it into the kind of community-based cereal you want to digest of a morning. Council reminder: it is an offence to allow your dog to foul footways, grass verges, bridle paths, cycle lanes, the hard shoulder, the left 2 lanes of the M62, or anywhere at all in the Peak District. A new report has been published which suggests that the rise of social media has left the average internet user with the attention span of a housefly. We reached out to you, the listener, for comment. Some interesting insights there, I think we can all agree. Friendly reminder. You know, at the start of the year, you got sent all those numbers through the post. Well, don't worry if you've lost it, because you were meant to memorise them. Now, I want you to reach back into your long-term memory and recall all those numbers, because you're going to need to add them all together. No, don't use a calculator. We've put trackers in them, so we'll know if you cheat. Now, have you added them all up? Great. Now use that number as your password to opt out of mandatory organ relinquishment. Remember, if you are unable to provide your appointed organ procurement officer, when asked, for a valid 17-digit number specific to you, then he is legally obliged to take any and all organs you may have on you by force. Just a fortnight ago, a man had his pancreas and liver confiscated until further notice. So think on. There's been a lot of pushback from the community recently following the somewhat controversial news that the council have granted planning permission for a wicker man to be constructed on land donated by an anonymous benefactor. Lance Bradshaw, local florist, said that the erection of a wicker man would put people off coming to his shop, partly due to all the smoke, partly due to the screams of the poor unfortunate virgins being burnt alive inside. A spokesman from the council said that while they do listen to both sides of any dispute, they truly believe that this wicker man will boost tourism to the area and won't have any detrimental effects on the economy. Besides which, they were offered an obscene amount of money to let it happen, so they did. And in celebrity spotting, Martin from Atherton has seen Miriam Margolyes attempting to sell pillowcases to punters down at the Crown. Tim from Ruislip has seen Craig Revel Horwood eating spaghetti bolognese from a Tupperware container at a bus stop on the High Street. Sarah from York has seen David Moyes crying into a salad at her local Wetherspoons. Nice spot there, Sarah. You win the coveted Golden Voyeur Award for this week. Maddie from Gloucester has seen Martin Sheen in the background of an episode of Taggart from 1998. Doesn't work when it's on your telly though, so I'll have to discount that and report you to the relevant authorities. Sorry for anyone distressed by that. For sale, memory foam mattress. It knows too much. Pack of polos with one missing, near mint condition. Kit car comes with marriage breakdown service as standard. Coffee machine, barely used. Will only make coffee and may become aggressive if asked to make tea. Keyboard, not musical or for a computer, just literally a board to put keys on. Complete dining set comes with table and 4 chairs. No, the seller has had to declare this is a cursed item, so mind how you go with that one. Now, if you are interested in any of the items featured in our for sale section, you know what to do. Just stand outside your house in the pouring rain, recite the Lord's Prayer backwards. And just a quick look at what's on the regional all-access Channel 8 tonight. There's Remember This at 7 o'clock, where a man recalls scenes from his favourite comedy shows and sometimes acts them out. There's no clips though, because we don't have the rights. At 8 o'clock we have the mystifyingly popular game show Friend or Foe, where contestants must decide whether a mystery guest is one of their friends or enemies, based on their social media posts being read out loud by someone with a comedically poor grasp of English. Then at 9 o'clock there's our film for the night, Mission Simpossible, where a rookie detective tries to crack a cold case that happened nearly 25 years ago in the popular PC game The Sims, starring John Sims. And I can confirm that tonight's winning lottery numbers are 13.5, 94/4, 768, and -3. Early reports indicate there have been 3 lucky winners, and we'll be giving their addresses out at the end of the show, so you can attempt to track them down and steal their ill-gotten gains. And the weather for the week ahead. It'll be unbearably humid while you mope around the house wondering what to do with yourself. The second you decide to head out, it'll absolutely chuck it down, rendering all of your plans completely redundant. Isn't that always the way? Also, there'll be wind. Can't say when, just we know it'll be there at some point. And now just time for a quick look at the 5-day musical forecast. Monday.
Green people, crab people, blue heavy metal people.
Tuesday. Wednesday. Thursday. Friday. People are being urged not to leave their unwanted cadavers outside for the bin men in a new initiative being launched by Citizens Opposing Recklessness, Promoting Stress-Free Environments, or CORPS for short. A spokesman for CORPS said that with the rising costs of funerals, it was becoming too much for some people to afford, and so the only alternative is to put them at the end of the drive on bin day and hope for the best. When I pointed out, quite rightly, that stress-free was 2 words, not 1, and that their acronym should say CORPS, they got all huffy with me and turned away. Paul Cummings, head of the Refuse Collectors Union, noted that staff turnover had become increasingly high ever since people started trying to recycle their loved ones. People mostly tried to put them in the garden waste bin, I suppose because that's the closest to an actual burial if you bung enough soil in with it, but we can't actually take soil, so if you are going to put a deceased friend or loved one in the garden waste bin, make sure there's no soil in there with them. Also, if rigor mortis has already set in, you're going to need to pretty much snap them in 2 to get them to fit, so make sure you break along the waist where the pelvis is. This ensures that you expend the least effort to get the task done, and means you'll be able to get all your usual food and garden waste in as well. And as for the high staff turnover, probably just a coincidence, like that time you taped over your granddad's VHS of The Great Escape and next day your dog went missing. So now we've come to my favourite part of the show, the fact of the week. Did you know that Baker Street by Jerry Rafferty was the first song broadcast into outer space? Our fact of the week is sponsored by the new Omni Spring mattress from the Better Bed Company. Sleep like a king or a higher tier celebrity with the aggressively comforting support of 256 springs, the optimum number of springs according to top sleep scientists. You'll be counting sheep in no time thanks to our patented Omni Spring technology. Where lesser bed manufacturers utilise the spring like a child with a laser pen, we literally turn the spring on its side, thereby using more of the spring's potential and creating a more sleepful environment for the bed user. That's you. And now it's time for Recipe Corner. This week we'll be teaching you how to make a traditional devil's pastry. First off, you need to build a large bonfire outside. And make sure there's lots of books on there to keep it going. The reason being, books contain ideas, and ideas burn really well. Failing that, just use firelighters. Now, once the fire has reached 1100 degrees, you're going to need to take a long metal skewer and thread onto it the house spiders I showed you how to catch last week. In case you missed it, I'll give you a clue. Alcohol. Then you need to place the skewers atop the fire on a miniature spit, and whilst they cook, pop inside and make the pastry. What you'll need to do is mix together equal parts water, flour, eggs, bird or fish is fine, and cement. Give it all a good stir, you might want to use a garden spade, then head back out and check on the spiders. They should be ready now. You'll be able to tell if you can hear their little heads popping from the intense heat of the flames. Now comes the tricky part. You need to use a wooden spoon to smear the mixture around the spiders' bodies, making sure they're completely encased in it. You'll know when they're ready to eat as they'll give out a scream, much like the microwave when it was first invented. Now all you need to do is remove them from the heat, wait for their charred remains to cool down, then hypnotise some friends into coming over and enjoy them with an ice cold beer. Next week we'll be recreating that old school favourite from yesteryear, spatchcock woodlouse. And now we turn to our regular collaborator, the Extreme Agony Aunt, to help you with your problems, be they personal, societal, or stolen from dear Deirdre. Our first, and in fact only letter, comes from long-time caller, first-time listener, Glenn from Arbroath, who writes, Dear Extreme Agony Aunt, just, abbreviate in future. I've recently had a lodger move in to help with rising rent costs, and at first, everything was going great. Then I found out the heathen worships a certain antlered god, and I'm strictly a tentacled deity worshipper. This has caused tensions to run extremely high in our household, as both our shrines are set up in the living room and we're constantly jostling for space. It feels like we're just one offering away from a massive blow-up. Can you help? Sincerely, Anonymous Hentai Guy. Dear AHG, see how easy it is? May I suggest combining your respective deities into one easy-to-worship, consolidated god? There's actually a number of idols that meet both of your requirements. There's Octostag, Deer Squid, and Cthulhu. He does have a single antler, it's very small and on his back, you don't often see it in photos. This would also mean you're both worshipping at the same shrine, although be sure to still make separate offerings. You do not want to piss off the powers that be. And I'm hearing from the voices in my head that we're just about out of time on this month's edition of CommYOUnity Memo-random, putting the U in CommYOUnity. Until next time, take care, bye bye.